Welcome to the Healing Broken Families podcast, where I host conversations on divorce, parental alienation, and high conflict personalities. I'm Barbara Lapointe, a divorce coach and your host. Today, I am super excited to be sitting down with Christopher Daniels. Christopher Daniels is a high-performance development coach with a passion and background in NLP, Neurolinguistic Programming. His goal is to help all his clients improve their lives by expanding out their consciousness and maximizing stepping into their potential. He coaches folks across the globe, and his website is IamChristopherDaniels.com. So I am that I am. I am powerful. I am Christopher Daniels. Welcome, Christopher.
Thank you. Literally, that's it. I am that I am. Affirmations, gotta say it. Gotta say it proudly. Own who you are. So yeah, that's part of the reason for the website. And I'm big on affirmation. Just wanted to put that in there as well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I really noticed that on your website. And I just love that your website. And I love that you use the two most powerful words in the world for your website. I am.
Exactly that. Yeah. When you put I am before anything, it's just taking that ownership, claiming that you are. That's power in that. So I always believe in the use of the words I am. So, literally.
Well, it's an honor to be with you. And it was an honor to connect with you. A little personal side note, and I don't mind being a little vulnerable here, but when I connected with you and I was looking at you as a life coach, I literally saw, metaphorically speaking, flowers. I just saw flowers. You had a super high vibration and a lot of positive energy that came just blasted out from you, all the way from the UK and London, which is where you live, correct?
Yeah, UK and London, North London.
Oh, yeah. I love London.
Yeah, that sounds. I like that. The flower, the energy. Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't heard that before, but I'm glad that you're able to feel that. That's definitely something positive. Positive energy's coming out. So I'm glad that you was able to receive that. 100%.
Yeah, it's very unusual. It's very unusual for me to have that sense. But I did have that. And I know it sounds a little bit strange, but I really find that you have a high frequency. And that's what you really want, I would imagine, when you're selecting a life coach.
100%. It's literally that, being able to connect with people, resonate, be an online presence as well. Because if you notice that without connecting with me personally, then it just shows you like what would happen when you actually do connect. And for me, I always want to have that inviting presence so that people can tap in, because it's all about helping people to heal. That's essential to me. So if I have a welcoming presence, then that's even better. People will come in and I'll help them to heal. That's literally what it is. So I'm glad that that's coming off. That's radiating off. So yeah.
Exactly. It does. And you do have to be relaxed to really get into the deep work of coaching or NLP. And so you certainly embody that. And your company, you have a fun little mantra as well that I also really liked. And it's don't stress and don't panic. You even have a T-shirt that says that. And I love that. Why did you adopt that as a mantra?
You know what? Yeah, literally. Don't stress, don't panic. Yeah, that's the mantra. That's the ethos. That's what I use. I use it frequently, and it actually came from like from me. I was speaking to my mom. Like, this was years ago, and like she was kind of like getting worked up. I'm like, don't stress. And then there was another instance where I was in a certain situation where I was getting worked up. And somebody said to me, don't panic. And then I started laughing when they said that. And it instantly calmed me down. And then I just kind of like put the two together. Don't stress, don't panic. And then it just became a thing. And then I've put it on T-shirts. People have been wearing it. They like the T-shirt. They like the ethos. And it just become a thing around like my community. So don't stress, don't panic, it is. And that's the mantra. That's how it came about. So yeah.
I love it. It's really great. We have a lot of French speaking people in Canada, of course. And I remember when I used to speak French, always saying, panique pas, panique pas. But
Okay.
just stay calm and carry on, I guess, is essentially another way of saying it.
Perfect. I forgot. Yes, French and English, the main languages in Canada. I'm right in saying that, right? So you speak both.
I do. Yes.
Oh, perfect. Nice. Okay. Interesting
Yeah.
fact. Cool.
So I want to invite you now to share with me a little bit about how did you step into becoming a high performance coach? I mean, you're a high performance coach. You have a background in NLP. You also talk about a lot of great topics that we're going to go through today, like self-sabotage. You talk about mindset. Perfection is a myth. Become your own master. These are all things that you eloquently speak to, and we're going to walk through each one of those themes. But before we do, how did you step into being a life coach on planet Earth?
Yeah. You know what? It always happens in the strangest of ways. Like it never happens on purpose. And for me, my background is well, I was in media before, but I'm gonna go a little bit further than that. So generally, for me, life has not been in terms of me receiving myself. I've always seen myself as somebody that's unintelligent, somebody that's lost, somebody that doesn't have any direction. And even in school, I was the one that was unintelligent, getting bad grades. So it's always like I didn't fit into anywhere. I was just trying to find somewhere where can I go to fit in? Where can I go to fit in? I didn't fit in here, didn't fit in there. And then for me, it was just finding that place. And then one thing I've always loved is finding a way to express myself. And I often did that through media. And whether it be me I've done editing, like editing videos, I've directed videos, I've acted, I've done theatre performances, and all of these allow me to express myself creatively. And I realized that creative expression was something that allowed me to release myself, because I wasn't the most vocal. I didn't like being judged. That was another thing, and that was where I was kind of in a box. So for me, it was kind of like, how do I get out of this box? And I'm sure I'm not the only one in this box. So I went through my journey to kind of discover myself, understand myself. I found out about the law of attraction in about, I think it was at 2012, maybe. And then I started using some of the principles in there. I started manifesting a few things. I was like, there's something interesting about that. And then I kind of left it. And then I came back to it a little bit later after manifesting quite a few things. And then I was like, oh, cool. When lockdown happened, that's when things really picked up. I'm realizing a lot of people are stuck, a lot of people are trapped. And what I did, I started doing like free online classes every Sunday. People came in, and then we'll just go in there. I'll help them out. And I realized when I went in there was one session. Before that session, I went in, and I kind of had it was like an anxiety attack. I was like, I don't know why I'm feeling like this, but something feels wrong. But at the same time, it feels right. I felt like I'm an imposter in one way, but at the same time, I felt like people are gaining value from doing this. So for me, it's like I needed to break through that to be able to help people to break through. And since I kind of broke through that barrier, I knew that, okay, I'm supposed to be doing this, because people were learning. And I love to teach. I love to see people break through these barriers that they have in their mind. It's an amazing feeling that comes. And knowing that happened for me, helping people to go through that too, that's literally what it's all about. And yeah, the main reason why I'm here is to help people to break through those barriers, not feel lost, not feel like they're in a box. I came out of my box, and I'm enjoying being in this space. This is my comfort space, and I found it. So I'm here to help people to find their comfort space. And that's pretty much how I ended up as a life coach, literally.
I think that's a really important story, because a lot of us feel that we're in a box. And we want to break barriers. A lot of us feel like we're alone. And coaching is a noble profession. It really is. Yep. So good for you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good on you. Because this is an intuitive talk, I felt pretty intuitive going into it. And I grabbed a book off my bookshelf just to speak to what you said, because I know you like NLP and so do I. And the first quote that I pulled, like I literally just opened it, Christopher, and it said, life consists of what a man is thinking all day. That's Ralph Waldo Emerson. And
Okay.
when you were sharing with me, you mentioned the law of attraction.
Yeah.
So what is the law of attraction in your world, and those thoughts that we think all day, especially during this global planet lockdown where there's been a lot of negativity, a lot of darkness, and a lot of thoughts floating around that are negative and aren't serving us, So then you say, okay, you broke out of a box, and you use the law of attraction to do that. Is that accurate?
Yeah, law of attraction was definitely played a big part in it. Yeah. So would you like me to speak on my understanding of it? Was that what it was?
Sure. If you
Yeah, perfect. So for me, how the law of attraction works, you can break it down into two ways. I look at it in terms of everything that's outside is within. We have access to within. So for me, I look at it from the reticular activating system, which we have in our mind, and that's like for example, let me just explain this. If you focus on if I say to you, focus on your left ankle, yeah, or focus on your on the feet, your left foot, for example, your attention will go to your left foot or go to your left ankle. And you don't do that consciously, that happens subconsciously. The same way, when you start to think about anything, like your mind takes your focus there. And that's because that's what you've been thinking about. So the more you think about things, your attention just goes there. And that's within. Yeah, that's the reticular activating system. And at the same time, what happens is your mind connects inside with the outside. So the inside reticular activating system is your system within. And then you have the universal laws that work without. And they work together to bring whatever it is that you're trying to manifest into existence, into the 3D. So what I realize is anything that I'm feeling, I'm putting that out. Any feeling that I have, any thought that I have, I'm putting that out. So it all comes down to being able to control your thoughts as much as you can, control your feelings. Anything that you don't want done onto anyone else, don't think about that. Anything that you don't want done upon you, do not think about that. Think about what you want to spread. Think about how you want to live. And at the same time, it's like once you begin to tap into that, your energy begins to radiate in a different way, and you start to see things. So it's like having that vision board, looking at it, not just looking at it, but taking actions that are in alignment with that, and allow your reticular activating system to focus on that. Allow the universal laws to come into play and help you to move towards that. Because like you were saying, everything starts in the mind. So things don't happen coincidentally. They happen because you've planted them in here, and then you're manifesting through taking that action. But it all starts when you plant that seed, and you begin to water that seed. You continuously water that seed and allow it to grow, and then the fruits begin to come through. So that's literally how the process works, if that makes sense. So that's how I see it, and that's how I use the law of attraction.
That's a beautiful explanation, almost like we're a radio antenna. And broadcasting out. And also using our power of imagination to really imagine what we want to manifest, create, experience. Is that right, Christopher?
Exactly that. Because I don't know anyone that was a coach, and then I find myself here just by thinking about, okay, I want to be a coach, and then I'm here now. I've got clients by just thinking about it. So it's really just tapping in and believing that you can, and just going for it. So just following that, and I'm focusing on creating. You don't have to know how to do everything. You just have to go and then trust the process. Plan within, but at the same time have that bigger vision and then trust that. But do take those action steps also. So yeah, that's literally.
I like that. So in the beginning we were talking about being relaxed. So just to relax and be in more of an allowing state. Mm-hmm. Don't panic. Don't stress.
Don't stress. Don't panic.
Be in a more of allowing state. It's all kind of coming together, actually, what you're saying. And funny side note, I told you that my audience is a lot of divorced folks, narcissism, abuse. So I often see a lot of denser energies. And I actually did think in the new year, I'd like to focus and maybe spend more time on positive frequencies or positive topics. And boom, you messaged me.
Yeah.
So it does work, Christopher.
100%. It works. And if I may speak on this a little bit, but if you mentioned your audiences are into the narcissism and that nature, I've had a little patch where I've realized there's been narcissism there present for me, and 2020 made it more present. Am I okay to go into that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, okay, what I've learned, this is something that I learned from a narcissist. So in 2020, I was dating a narcissist for the majority of that year. And I didn't know that the person was narcissistic at all. I didn't know what a narcissist was. I didn't know anything about that. But throughout that year, I just started to realize that there was this sort of attachment that was there. And I didn't it's never happened before. I kept going. I was thinking, okay, cool. This person's going to leave now. And they just wouldn't leave. They wouldn't leave. They just stay there. Because normally in situations, I know, okay, cool. I've done this, I've done that. This person should leave. This, that, Or this person's done that. Okay, they're going to leave. But they did not go away. And I was starting to think, what is actually happening? I didn't understand it. And then as it continued, I was still stressed. I was annoyed. I was worked up. And I've never felt like that in my life. And one thing that I actually learned from that process is that I didn't understand myself. I wasn't connected with myself. I was not putting myself first. I wasn't listening to myself. I was listening to them, and I was basing my thoughts and my feelings off how they feel. So everything that I was doing, I was channeling my energy into their thought processes, into their way of being. And only through the disconnect, yeah. So they decided to disconnect, and what I believe that they wanted me to come back. But what happened is, as soon as that disconnect happened in that way, I just blocked the number, deleted it, and then I've never spoken again. And since that blocks happened, it took me almost like a year to process everything. But since I've processed it, I've been okay. And what I realized is that I was channeling my energy elsewhere. I was frequently channeling it outside. So with what you're saying about being patient and just trusting yourself and believing in yourself, you first got to build that relationship with yourself. Because if you don't, the energy that you have, you channel it outside of yourself, and you can't create it. It makes it harder to manifest when you're not channeling that energy within, because you're think, like we're talking about thoughts, thinking. If you're thinking about someone else and you're thinking thoughts, okay, I'm angry at this person, that messes up the way that you manifest. So if you've got narcissists around you, you're going to understand that it's going to be difficult to manifest. Is that you're in that hole. And I believe that the universe brought that narcissist to me in my face, didn't take them away. It wanted me to learn to control my space, control my energy, to have boundaries in place. And once you do have all of that in place, it makes it so much easier to feel connected and to manifest, because you've got so much control and you're not thinking these negative thoughts. You're not thinking anything negative about anyone. So that's like one thing that I feel like I should just share in this space, if that is your audience as well, the narcissist. So yeah.
It totally resonates. I mean, I think it totally resonated with me, because sometimes when you're a coach or just even a human being dating a narcissist, often those individuals are really full of empathy and very empathetic, sensitive. And when we're sensitive, we send our feelers out into the world, you know, and we don't stay grounded ourselves. And so we can actually run all of our energy through the body of the narcissist. We become completely ungrounded. So what you said was just kind of like, it really resonated with me.
Yeah. I like how you put that. Yeah.
So the trick is to be empathetic and sensitive, but still stay grounded.
Yeah. I like that. Yeah, exactly that. That's what it is. We're operating from the higher chakras. We're not connected to the ground ourselves. We don't have our own foundation in place. We haven't set up how we want to live. We're kind of living in a way where we're putting them first, and we're living through the higher chakras, is how I kind of put it. But how you put it was amazing, and that connected, definitely.
Yeah. That's really interesting too, what you just said, because I've met quite a few narcissists, because must be power of attraction or a lot of different things. But one thing I have noticed is oftentimes their root chakra will be very strong. Like they know how, which is like, you know, for me, the opposite,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, they don't have any problems with walking on the planet and feeding themselves and making money and
Exactly.
right, all of those qualities when you have a very strong root chakra or solar plexus chakra. So that's pretty interesting. And also just getting back to what you said about being positive. I'm losing my voice. It happens when I talk about narcissists.
Yeah. They make that happen.
All right. So let's talk about self-sabotaging. It's something you talk about. And I think women sometimes even self-sabotage when they see a narcissist as a date, because it's a disconnection from self-love.
Mm-hmm.
So, but you speak to self-sabotaging. So let's go there. What's that about?
Okay, so self-sabotage happens in many forms. I was even speaking to my client the other day, and they self-sabotage quite frequently, and I just believe it's resistance. You're just trying to set artificial resistance so that you make things harder for yourself, so things become a challenge, because you want resistance, but you don't want resistance out of your comfort zone. So, for example, if you're having trouble, you may create going to the gym, like you may create it as a problem. For example, you may say, okay, cool, I'm going to go to the gym, but I'm only going to get my stuff ready 10 minutes before. And then you get your stuff, and then your stuff's all scattered. You can't find it. You're like, that's an easy reason not to go. Whereas if you really wanted to go, you can prep like an hour before. You can prep the night before. So everything's ready, everything's in place, everything's organized. And what you realize, a lot of people that self-sabotage, they leave things the last minute, or they won't communicate. And often what it ties into is, like, again, we're talking about narcissism again, and a lot of people have strict parents where they find it difficult to connect. And it's not necessarily narcissistic parents, it's just they haven't learned to vocalize, to express, to organize their own space. So what happens is they take that into adulthood where they don't take leadership. And by them not taking leadership, it makes it difficult for them to organize their life. And the little things like making the bed in the morning. I speak to so many people. Do you make your bed in the morning? No. And there's like little things like that, that organization, these little tasks that you do, it makes everything become easier for you. And that's a given. So people that self-sabotage often haven't just been taught to put structures in place. So it's something that they then begin to learn as an adult. And once they begin to create structure, everything becomes easier. So self-sabotage is just a lack of structure, a lack of not knowing what to do, going into tasks and finding it difficult. You're only finding it difficult because you haven't prepared in advance. That's why it feels difficult. But whereas if you went in there knowing this is exactly what I need to do, it will be so seamless. Like when you go into work, they have a schedule, they have a timetable, you know exactly what you're doing. Someone's created that structure. But when you're doing your own tasks, nothing's there. So you've got to create that structure. And that's what people find challenging. And that's why people sabotage a lot of the time. So, yeah.
I never really thought of it like that before. So just supporting yourself around more organization.
100%. Yeah. Organization, structure, knowing what you're doing, believing in what you're doing. Giving yourself space to fail, get things wrong. Just all of these things there. So, yeah.
So if we deepened that a little bit, would self-sabotage be a self-love issue, or is it more of a organizational, structural issue?
I think both of them could tie in. Because if you look at the self-love aspect, it's like you can go into work and work and be okay with that and just follow someone's structure. But when it comes to you, you're not giving yourself that time to figure yourself out, to figure out what you like, to figure out what sort of structure to put in place. So that becomes the love issue, the self-love issue there, because it's like you can do it at work. So how come you can't take that time to figure out what it is that you like, what structure you want in place for yourself? So therefore, you're not giving yourself that time. And when you don't give yourself that time, you don't appreciate yourself as much. And you appreciate other people's time and other people more than you appreciate yourself. So that's where the love aspect comes in. But it starts with the self-love. So that was good for you to bring that up. It does start with self-love. That's what I believe is the root. A lack of it. Yeah.
Lack of it. Yeah. And I like that simple gym example that you gave, because it's just easy to grasp. Someone told me that real integrity is self-integrity when you make a promise and you keep that promise to yourself. That's real self integrity. Yeah, I do that a lot with the gym. So I like that example, Christopher.
100%.
All right, let's keep moving through our themes here. The next theme that I have slated for us to touch on is called people pleasing. Let's talk about people pleasing. When we move through the world being a people pleaser.
Cool. I think that this ties in perfectly with what we've been speaking about in a way, so I can kind of just link it in to like the narcissism again. And I feel like that kind of ties in one way or another. And at the same time, not completely, but we can use examples from that. And a lot of the time with people pleasers that we mentioned, they're not grounded. Yeah, they're not grounded. They're not connected to that root chakra, the three lower chakras, the sacral chakra. They're not connected. So what often happens is they do things for other people as a way to release. They want to do something good, but they do it for others as opposed to doing it for themselves. And what often happens is they don't feel whole, not complete, because you're putting other people before yourself. And oftentimes the reason is, again, is due to just upbringing where they've been surrounded by, that they're used to doing things for other people, parents telling them to do this, teachers telling them to do this, and they just want to help people around them, but not realizing that over-helping is taken away from what they're giving themselves. So they end up in situations where they're just not saying no. They're taking everything on board, and then they become exhausted and they become frustrated at the world. Whereas if they just said no, or they had boundaries in place and operated from a place where they wanted to operate with, they'll feel a lot different. So people pleasing just comes from you wanting to do good in the world, but you're doing it through other people as opposed to doing it through yourself, how you want to do it. So that's a lot of the time how I see people pleasers to be and how they operate. So, yeah.
Okay, so let us suppose that you have a client that's a people pleaser, and they've, that's an issue. That's a theme that they want to break free of. That's their box.
Yeah. Cool.
What might we?
So how would I?
Yeah.
How would I? Okay, cool. So if I did have a people pleaser, it will come back to self-love. It will come back to understanding yourself, understanding them, because it comes to the grounding, being grounded, being connected to who you are, what you like, because a lot of people pleasers will go into work, their boss will say, okay, cool, I need you to stay behind for an extra half an hour. They'll think about it and they'll find it hard to say no. They're in their mind, they'll be like, but my boss needs me to stay, so I'm going to stay, even though they've got to go to the gym after work. And then they'll end up in a situation where they do go to the gym and they're a little bit late. It's crowded in there because they went late. And that happened because of them, but they may blame the boss. So for me, it's just teaching them to hold themselves accountable for everything. If you need to do something else, say no. That it's okay to say no. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt somebody maybe, but at the same time, saying no and somebody taking it offensively, that's not your business, because at the end of the day, is how the person receives it. If the person understood and respected that your time, they're not going to be offended. They'll understand that you have things to do. And it's just allowing yourself to understand that when you do say no again, people will be offended, but get used to offending some people, because you can't say yes to everything. And it's okay for people to respond however they respond. That's not your responsibility. That's for them to deal with. So it's just teaching them to be grounded in their way of being. And you are going to let some people down, but I just say that's okay. Because if you let them down, you're not letting yourself down. And you don't want to let yourself down. You want to be able to stay grounded, stay positive. And at the same time, I'm not saying say no to everything. I'm just saying say no to things that are difficult for you to do, that will be challenging for you to do, that will take you out of like your natural rhythm. Just it's okay to say no and not feel any way about it, because you've got things to do too. You've got a life as well. So it's just seeing yourself as important, seeing yourself as valuable. That's a lot of the things that I teach to people that are people pleasers. So yeah, just wanted to put that forward. Yeah.
I like that. Stay connected to your rhythm, and I am important. I am valuable.
Exactly. Yeah.
Stay in your rhythm and maintain that boundary. We keep coming back to personal boundaries. That's very cool. Very helpful. a lot of people are people pleasers and feel guilty when they say no. And then lastly, just to deepen what you said, I can't remember the author, but there's a book called The Four Agreements.
Don Miguel.
Yeah, of course. I probably have it right here. And he says, don't take anything personal. And that's always a good one too.
Yeah. Definitely. I think even with that, it's like you said, not taking anything personally, understanding that, saying no is totally okay, it's totally fine. And the two things that a lot of people pleasers operate from, the two key emotions or feelings would be, they hold a lot of guilt and shame. So that guilt and shame are like the two things that you'll find that are common in people pleasers. They feel guilty for saying when they say no, and they operate from a place of shame a lot of the time. So is that, so it's easy to spot one. And even for me, like from the outside, I know, okay, this is a people pleaser. And I know, okay, cool, let me show them empathy because they're a people pleaser. So let me speak to them in this way. But I know a lot of people can take advantage of that easily. You can see it. You can spot it in someone. If they're timid, if they're shaky, I can see it. So I know that if I can see it, a lot of other people can see it, and they'll take advantage. So it's like letting go of that guilt, letting go of that shame, releasing it. And that's like the key things and the key advice I'll give to people pleasers. And you release that shame and guilt by just connecting with yourself, understanding what you like, seeing yourself as important, and not having to say yes to everything. You're not responsible for anybody else. Like you do have responsibilities. You are responsible in some way, but at the same time, you feeling whole and complete, that's the best gift you can give to anybody, because you operate much more efficiently when you feel whole and complete. So put yourself first, I'll say, literally.
Yeah, put yourself first. And that is so beautiful, to feel whole and complete, right? Not walking around like broken or fragments of ourselves, but just, we really do have something to offer when we feel whole and complete. I like that so much.
Exactly.
And thank you for mentioning those, little cousins, guilt and shame. Those are the little sneaky cousins that sneak up.
Yeah, 100.
So if I understand you correctly, you're asking us to release guilt and shame. Release
them. Yeah. Release. I dealt with a lot of guilt myself. I still deal with it sometimes. And it's like the ability to just keep going, and you're going to get things wrong. Like, I think perfectionism as well. Anyway, you put that down as something to speak about. But perfectionism, I believe, is very much linked to why we do feel guilty. We want to be seen as perfect. We want to be seen in a certain way. And it's like, if we're off and we're making mistakes, we're getting things wrong, we're not pleasing people, we're not making people feel happy, there's this thing that just creeps up, and there's this feeling, and it's like, but I'm supposed to be doing this. They want me to do this. I'm supposed to be seen as this. And you're looking at it from the outside as what you are supposed to be doing, as opposed to looking at the inside as how you want to be seen, or how you want to present yourself. So it's kind of like you're operating from the outside in, as opposed to the inside out. So that's what happens a lot of the time with people pleasers, and where that guilt and shame creeps up from.
Right. So people pleasers are operating. Let's start there, from the outside in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the great author Stephen R. Covey says, first you get the inner victory, and then you get the outer victory.
Yeah.
And again, sending their energy out instead of keeping it in first, and then sending the energy out into the world.
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow. And releasing guilt and shame is key.
100%. It's key to letting go or stopping people pleasing, stopping that whole process. 100%.
So when you release guilt and shame, I think I know what you're going to say, but what do you open yourself up? What do you make space for when you release guilt and shame?
You meet yourself. You open yourself up to receive that love, like things that from the higher chakras. You feel it because you're grounded now. You're grounded now. You're connected to yourself. So before, you're not connected to yourself. You're not grounded. So it doesn't come up through the heart, and you don't feel it the same way. it doesn't come back to you. So you're projecting out. But when you release guilt and shame, you feel it within first. You feel that energy and you understand, okay, cool, I'm doing this from a loving place. You're able to love without feeling jealous. You're able to love without feeling envious. All of these feelings start to go away. And you'll realize when you're able to be happy for someone else, like that's when, like, okay, cool. Because a lot of people, please, they still deal with like jealousy, envy, all these traits do creep up on the inside because they haven't been able to unlock the heart properly, you know, because it's not in alignment. Everything's not in alignment. But once you release guilt and shame, you realize it's easy to feel happy for somebody else. It's easy to just do something and feel happy, because when you do something, you feel happy. You see someone else doing great, you feel happy. And when you begin to feel that, you'll know, okay, cool, I'm in alignment, I feel good. And then the energy just changes, because what you feel, like we said before, law of attraction, that energy comes back. And once you release guilt and shame, like you start to feel this energy a lot more, where you feel a lot clearer, you know? So that's another thing that happens when they're gone. So yeah, literally.
Wow.
And don't expect them to be gone 100%, but at the same time, you understand it more, you've connected more. So that's another thing as well. Yeah. The process.
Wow. Well, and just, yeah, I mean, I like what you're inviting us to open up to, just acknowledging that guilt and shame are some of those lower vibrational frequencies or lower vibrational energies that keep us.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Said, is it Richard Dawkins? Richard Dawkins. Have you seen the vibrational chart? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Guilt and shame. Shame's at the bottom, and then guilt's just on top of it. So those are the lowest vibrational frequencies as well. Guilt and shame. So that's another thing to bear in mind. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So good. So good to know that we can go up that frequency chart to live whole, to live in a more open heart space.
Yeah. That's even a better way of putting it, because those are the lower vibrational frequencies. So you start from shame, and you start from guilt, and then you move to guilt, and then there's anger somewhere up there. Then you've got love, and then there's all these different feelings and emotions that are on this chart. And it's like, where are you operating from? And even when you're operating from anger, that's a higher frequency than guilt and shame. And then comes love. And you're operating from a place of love. That's when you're radiating that energy that comes in and allows you to again put that out into the world and start attracting. So that's another way that you can look at it. If you look at that chart and you see how the chart operates and the order, you want to be in love. And a lot of it comes through feeling grateful for what's present, what's around you, that gratitude. So yeah, that's literally one thing I wanted to share just there. So yeah.
I think that's such an important message that you just shared, because that's what we need. We need more love and more humans starting to step into love and just step into those higher, more positive emotional states that can open us up instead of being so shut down in shame and guilt and negativity. Yeah. I like it. I really like it. All right, so let's carry on the path of becoming your own master, and I'll ask you to talk about perfection. You talked about it a little bit, but you do a neat little video called "Perfection is a Myth," and sometimes people do get stuck in, I want this to be perfect, or I want to be perfect, or I won't do it unless it's perfect, or I won't start. Yeah.
So for me, that was a realization that I had that was blocking me a lot. I wouldn't begin projects or tasks until I know that, okay, cool, this is going to be the perfect task. It's going to be, everything's going to be work this way, that way, start designing it up in my head, drawing it out. It's going to work like this, that, the other thing. And then I just don't move because it doesn't look like I can see that yet. I can't see that. So I'm not going to begin what I'm doing. And a lot of the time it's just going to stop you. It's going to slow you down. There's never going to be a perfect time to start. There's never going to be a perfect image that you're going to see in your head. It's like you see things, but it's not going to always happen the way that you see it in your head. And it's just going out and letting it be messy, letting it be getting things wrong, things being disorganized. When things are disorganized, you get things wrong, then you realize, okay, cool, I did this wrong this time. Okay, this time I'm going to do it like this, you know? And then you tweak it, and then you go again, and then it's better the next time. but it's not perfect, but at the same time, it's working, you know? And even when you start a business, like things may be disorganized on one end, the back end, you may not understand certain bits in the business, but it's flowing in one way, but you allow that imperfection to run, you allow it to run. And then what you realize is that you start to fix things in certain places and then it begins to flow a lot better. But if you're waiting for it to be perfect before you run, then oftentimes nothing's going to happen, because you can only focus on certain things for like you can only focus on one thing at a time, yeah, and then grow that, and then allow other things to catch up. That understanding comes through. But if you're trying to make focus on everything and then push everything at the same time, it's often not going to work. So what you give your attention to will begin to develop. Unless you let that grow, then you let the next thing grow, then you let the next thing grow, and then you realize they're all in alignment, and then it's like it's smooth. You're still juggling, but you know how to juggle a lot better, and that's where it is. It's never going to be perfect, but you just become better at juggling, you know. So that's literally the main thing to have in mind when it comes to perfection. It can slow you down if you are stuck in that place, because it's never going to be perfect. But at the same time, you can become a good juggler. Like, that's literally how I'll put it.
I like it. And we all feel like we're juggling so much, I think.
Yeah.
So an artist friend of mine used to say, perfection is imperfection and imperfection is perfection.
Yeah, like that.
As a coach, I just wanted to hone in on something you said, because you got a little bit animated when you said it, and you were talking about flow, and your hands kind of did this, like flow.
Yeah.
And that's a coaching word, being in a flow state.
Yeah.
What is flow? How do we feel? Like how do we feel so that we know we are in flow?
Yeah, it's like things just rhythmic. Like there's a rhythm going, you've got a pattern going. It's like you learn to start. Let's just use it like this. You learn to start dancing, for example. You don't know how to dance. The rhythm's a bit off. The timing's off. When the timing's off, it doesn't look right. It doesn't look quite right. But when you start to get your timing right and get the moves right, the movement right, everything goes with the beat. It goes with the rhythm. There's a natural flow to it. And then you realize that, okay, cool, I've got this rhythm going. Now my business is moving smoother. My life is moving smoother. I'm going to the gym more consistently. And it's just like this rhythm that you get. So things just flow smoother. And it's all to do with rhythm. It's all to do with timing. It's all to do with schedule structure as well. And mastering all of that, putting that together and making things just flow as smoothly as they can, you know? So you're organizing that, you're creating that, and then you're getting a rhythm that allows it to flow smoothly. Yeah, so you flow in and out of it, and it just operates like it's seamless, you know? There will be distractions, but you can tweak that and then get back to the rhythm. So it's just finding a flow that works, and you have to be the one to create that. So that literally, that's what it is for me when I mention flow, just having that rhythm that operates and it kind of seamless. It may be challenging at days, like say, for example, for me, weekdays, I always wake up at 5, always wake up at 5, always wake up at 5. And for me, that's how I get into my flow. I have to wake up at the same time. If I wake up a bit earlier, it's cool. If I wake up later and it's unintentional, that will mess up my flow. So it starts from the beginning. Like you got to have that rhythm go from the beginning and then follow it all the way through. So that's how I see it. It's just that getting that rhythm going. So yeah, literally.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. That's very supportive, to live in a rhythm, to live in a flow state, and we keep also coming back to allowing, just an allowing state. Allow it.
Yeah.
Christopher, you've got a really neat quiz on your website called Become Your Own Master Quiz.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. I took it.
Okay.
Do you invite people to take that quiz? Like, what's our win in taking that quiz?
You know what? Yeah, I haven't invited anyone to take that quiz for a while, but at the same time, nice on taking it. So literally, what the quiz does, it allows you to see where you are and what your current habit patterns lead you to do the most. So some people is procrastinate. Some people are very well organized. Some people are like action takers. And it's like, what can you combine that with where you are now to like, what do you need to take the next step? If you're an action taker, Are you an organized action taker, or would you just take action in a messy way? It's kind of like finding what can you add to what you've already got to make you more efficient. If you're a procrastinator, what is it that causes you to procrastinate? Is it a lack of organization? Like, what is it? So it's kind of finding where you are, and then just taking something and adding it to that to allow you to move out of that place. So that's like the purpose of the quiz. Just finding out where you are at this point in time based on your current habits and how can you move out of that. Even if you're an action taker, that would be seen to be something amazing. But again, are you organized with that action? Are you taking actions that will help you to move forward? It's just questioning where you are and how you can improve. Like, that was the purpose of the Becoming a Roadmaster quiz.
Literally. I liked it. I encourage everyone to take it. It's a great way to calibrate where you are and where you are on your mastery route, on your road to self-mastery of your life. So
100.
Thank you. Yeah, for that. We're coming to the top of the hour here, and I wanted to just open it up, give you, 30 seconds to just share about purpose, perhaps, or law of attraction, or anything you feel led to share, golden nuggets of wisdom that, as a life coach and journeyer on the planet, you might want to not leave on the table. You might want to share them out in this podcast.
Yeah. As a child, I always loved to do things in a messy, unorganized way, and I still believe till this day that that served me, and I still keep that with me. And I say, do things in a messy, unorganized way, only to find your way to be organized, become organized. It's okay to be messy. It's okay to get things wrong. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to just be doing things in a way that don't seem the natural way to do it. Just do it your way and find out how to do it through that. I've always been one to do things in an unorthodox way, and I've learned that through doing that, I find myself in that. Yeah, you go through the mess only to tidy it back up, and it looks a lot neater when you do tidy it up after you've messed it up. Have that fun, enjoy those moments, and then after that, tidy everything up, make it look neat, make it look tidy. But again, do have those messy moments when you're learning things. It's okay to have that and go through the process, not knowing what you're doing. That's okay. And I will bring you back to know and understand yourself a lot more. So that's literally what I wanted to share. I don't know if that was more than 30 seconds, but yeah, that's literally that.
I love it. And to me, that sounds like self-love again. Just a lot of self-love, and what a uplifting and joyful message that you're always continuously sharing, and that you shared with us today. Thank you, Christopher, for being a guest on my podcast.
No, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure being here. It's been a pleasure.
Where can folks reach you if they want to get coaching today, or just have a check-in with you?
So the main place would be my Instagram. I am Christopher Daniels. My website again is I am Christopher Daniels. You can send me an email. And also on my Instagram, if you go through to my bio, you can click in, and you can book in via Calendly, and then we can have a discovery call to find out again if I'll be a good fit for you as a coach, and we will work together. So that's literally the process. Calendly, and then literally book in, or you can send me a direct message on Instagram, or I'm on LinkedIn, but Instagram, that's like the best place to find me, 100%.
Awesome. Well, we love Instagram. And I think when you're looking for a coach, you want to feel safe with that coach, so that you can do that messy work. And I feel very safe communicating with you. So that's really cool. Thanks for being here. If you'd like to contact me, please reach out to collaborate and connect at barbara@barbaralapointe.com. As always, thanks for taking the time to expand your consciousness here, to heal on the Healing Broken Families podcast. Every week we discuss and help you find solutions to divorce, breakups, parental alienation, and those high conflict relationships. I'm wishing every person today peace, love, and expanded consciousness, just like we were talking about today with you, Christopher. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Until next time.